Hey everybody, I know it's late on a Sunday night, but thank you so much for everybody who does tune in. And we have a really awesome guest today, and I've been actually really dying to talk to him for ages. Morgan, how are you today?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me on. Great to be here. Even though it is a bit late, that's fine. I don't mind. For you, any time is a good time.
Oh, fantastic. Look, thank you so much for today. Look, we'll take a quick look at the chat. Look, Sassy Gal, look, thank you every week for turning up. Look, yeah, we really appreciate you. Unfortunately, Sean can't make it today, but next week he promises to be back. So um, thank you. And again, all the way from the other side of the world, Moira, thank you again for turning up. Really appreciate you. And we have Grace from Singapore. So, Morgan, you have a whole international audience
All
getting to
right.
listen to you talk. How's your week been? How's your weekend been?
Good. Yeah, mildly productive. I've had one of those weekends where a lot of things have come in, so I've had to do a lot of quick writing and quickly getting some things out there that I wasn't anticipating. So it feels like you're not getting much done, but I know I've got stuff done, which feels good.
Fantastic. Look, I know you do make music, but I love your background. Your background has to be one of the most impressive backgrounds I've seen.
Thanks, man.
How many guitars are there altogether? I can count one, two,
There's probably about 8 there.
9.
There's
Yeah.
I don't know how many I've got. I stopped counting because it just gets a bit embarrassing, so I don't count anymore. They
Well,
all got used at one time or another. Now there's probably 2 that get used, and the rest are just for show. They don't get used at all.
Oh, but no, you
That's fine.
shouldn't say that. Looks really cool. It looks
Well, that's
awesome.
what they're there for now. They're there to look cool, so that's fine. That's cool.
Look, my background's just some
Just
blinds. So
white.
you know,
Just yeah.
it's just the blinds, and behind me is the backyard. So that's nothing really too exciting there. Okay. Oh, look. You picked Moon Knight, and again,
Mhm.
just to let everybody know, there may be a couple of minor spoilers. We won't spoil everything, but there are some plot points and plot elements we will be talking about. So if you want to watch Moon Knight absolutely blind, watch it first and
Do it
be sure
now.
to yes, do it
Yeah.
now, and then be sure to come back and watch us afterwards. So my usual,
Mm.
please like and subscribe to the channel because it'll help our channel grow. But yeah, if it's at all you want to watch Moon Knight with absolutely no idea what's happening, um, tune out for about half an hour and then drop back in. Let's bring up the Moon Knight. So, what did you think?
Ooh.
What was your thoughts about it?
I absolutely loved it, and as we're saying off air, I care most about the start, not about the finish, which is probably the reverse to most people. I care how the thing is started and how it pulls you into the story. And I thought with Moon Knight, it was just sensational. Even the trailer that they released was enough to make me think this is going to be really special. And yeah, that first episode it was amazing, just so well done. And I'm not even for a TV show, for any sort of media, it was just so well done. So yeah, I absolutely loved it.
So, what do you think? You said you liked the beginning. So, Moira's only seen the first episode. So, let's talk about the first episode.
Yeah,
How good is Oscar Isaacs? Like, he had
he's
to be this
amazing.
bumbling fool, and that switch constantly. How do you find
Yeah.
his work?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've seen him in a bunch of stuff, as probably most of us have. But I thought the depth, the different characters, and the way that he switched between them, and I mean, I fell in love with the Stephen character immediately. That, just a little bit goofy, a little bit funny, a little bit off it. But the thing that it did was, for people that are watching, it's a great introduction to the world, because he is falling headlong into this world. So you're kind of falling with him. And because he's so likable, you just want to get in there with him, and you don't mind if things are a bit wacky and, yeah, strange is probably a very good way of saying it, because it is, and it's sort of discombobulating, and it was great seeing him, almost like you're over his shoulder while he's experiencing that. And yeah, I loved it. And I
Yeah,
love it when the Mark character starts to appear and you see the
yeah.
difference between the two. Just amazing. Yeah.
What do you find about, and this is actually one of the Disney Plus movies, series actually. The
Mm.
first one which I really liked was, say, WandaVision, because they started playing within a TV show within a sitcom.
Mm.
That whole idea that what's real, what's not real, and then you could see, and they actually, the homage to the, I Love Lucy's of the world, to the Full House and all the rest of it, where they actually played it really well. In this one, they used a very different element. The time switches, the blackouts. How do you find that work for you?
I love it. I'm a big sucker for that sort of thing. I'm a big sucker for the kind of Fight Club, Tyler Durden, dissociative identity disorder. I think is what they call it now, or the multiple personality in the old days, or this idea of you're not quite sure what's real and what's not. Like, is it a dream? Is it real? When it's done really well, I love that. When it's done poorly, when it's a cop out, when it's like this amazing thing happens, and then at the end, how are they going to get out of this? Oh, it was just a dream. No, we can't do that. But when it's actually integral to the story, and you don't know yourself what's real and what's not, the character doesn't know. I like that ambiguity a lot. And my my wife and other people I know hate that sort of stuff. They don't like the feeling of not knowing kind of
Yeah.
what's happening, who's where, who's what, all that sort of stuff. I love it. I absolutely love being in kind of a soup for the first, couple of episodes until it starts to kind of coalesce and you understand, that makes sense now. Now I know what's going on. And then there's another twist, and yeah, absolutely love it. And the way it was done, the timing was brilliant. I actually went back and rewatched the first couple of episodes
Yep.
yesterday, and there's so much that I missed the first time that
Yep.
now on the second watching, I thought, yeah, that makes sense. I get it now. I get the goldfish. It makes total sense. I completely missed it the first time round. It's great. Yeah, I love it.
Awesome. Look, I'm gonna pop a couple of comments, then we'll go for a bit. So this is from David. Yes, definitely put it next to watch list. It is.
Yeah, man.
I'll have a little bit of a hot take afterwards, after we continue our discussion, because there is one thing about Moon Knight which I really didn't enjoy, but we'll come to that later. And Morgan knows this already, so he's gonna be. And look,
Yeah, sweet.
I'll put my usual caveat. I actually really enjoyed this series. The one thing I actually really liked was the Egyptian mythology. They wrapped into it. I I always think that's good when they explore different mythologies. Like, you had all the Norse technologies, Loki and
Mm,
Odin and all the rest of it. But
yeah.
seeing another mythology being really dug into, and I like the ideas of the avatars because, look, to be fair, the avatars is a bit of a cheat in terms of special effects because you can't pay to have all these
Yeah,
gods floating around all the time. So you need
that's
human
right.
characters to portray them, hence the avatars. But the idea of it, the gods have stepped back and you just have these representations. I thought that was brilliant. And I really liked, um, they actually said it was very well researched in terms of trying to bring
Mm.
all these different elements in. Did you like that part of it?
I did, yeah. And look, I'm not. I don't like it when things go into cliches and that sort of stuff
Yep,
because it's, here we go, Indiana Jones, it's
yep,
it's all been done, all the rest of it. I thought the way it was done here was visually stunning, and that kept me going in some parts where I thought, is this going to go into sort of cliche land? But it is a fairly different sort of thing to what we're used to seeing, particularly from the Marvel universe. So it was fresh and new and all the rest
yep.
of it. So yeah, I quite liked it.
Um,
The
just on
British
Man-
accent.
yeah,
Ah.
just on Mandeep's comment here. I think that was intentional. I know sometimes they
Mm.
make characters you're designed to hate, and um, it's actually a trope, Mandeep, and there is a trope where you have this character who's they do it really well. Have you seen? I'm going to jump to anime for a little bit. Have you seen Evangelion?
Oh, a little
Um,
bit, a long time ago.
okay, so there is one character in Evangelion who's actually the protagonist. His name is Shinji, and the whole plot of probably the first 80% of the series is basically for Shinji to actually become brave. And until he becomes brave, the first part of it is probably the most. Either you really enjoy it or you really hate it because you're just going, dude, just do it. Just stand
Yeah.
up. Just
Yeah.
pilot the. Because he's trained to become a pilot of this giant mech. Just pilot the mech.
Yeah. You want to
Don't go.
get to that point. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's in this case that Stephen Grant character is actually designed to be very, really, oh man, just do it. Stop complaining. Stop whinging.
And well, the everything in this was fancy word alert. Everything in this was about duality and the difference between, or the dichotomy between the two, and the difference between him and the Mark character. Weak versus strong. Sort of good versus bad. Positive versus negative. All that sort of stuff was really played out, and I thought having him as a fairly soppy character, worked really well with later on when things change and things happen. And I don't know. I found him. Now I'm not British, so I'm probably not as I quite like the way he did the accent, and I just found him lovably quirky, and just the things interacting with his boss. And we've all kind of been there, we've all kind of been in that situation where we've got like an overbearing boss, whatever. We're not skipping time, most of us, but I did like that. I like the day-to-day kind of drudgery and the sort of miniature misery of his life. And the phone call to his mum every 5 seconds, sort of saying, "Oh, hi, mum, missed you," blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. I won't go into it, but watching it the second time, I got so much more out of that, knowing what later on. But I quite liked it. I like the difference between the two, and then
To be fair to Mandeep's from the UK, so I think
that makes sense. Yeah.
he probably goes, "You dumb Australians, you
If
can't."
it was an Aussie accent, if it was an Aussie accent and it wasn't done right, I would hate it. Yeah, I completely get it. Yeah.
Can you imagine if Moon Knight was Australian and every second word was like "crikey,
It'd
mate"?
be g'day. Yeah,
And you're
it
just going,
wouldn't be good.
no, we don't talk like that. Crikey. So Mandeep's probably the best authority on this. So Mandeep, we follow your judgment on this one because
Yeah,
you did a
that's
bad
right.
accent. We can't tell. We just think, yeah, that's what they all sound like. A pot of tea, governor.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't
Pot
do
of
it.
tea. Pot of tea.
Sorry, Mandeep. I apologize. Okay, but there is one part, and I have to mention this because I have to say my entire experience of Moon Knight was probably ruined by this one part in the final episode. And people who haven't seen it, spoilers, tune out for it. Does I'm not going to spoil too much for you, but if you notice from episode one, there is the main character, the main antagonist, and the main protagonist. So you've got the Moon Knight, Arthur. You've got the Moon Knight, which is either Stephen Grant or Mark Spector, or whoever you want it, and you've got this Arthur Harrow or Ethan Hawke.
Mm.
And man, they give all the best actors the villains. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
Really, if you if you have serious acting chops, you become a villain. That's how they cast all the MCUs. Tom Hiddleston is such a great actor. Well, we'll make him bad. But anyway, so you've got this final face-off between Moon Knight and Arthur Harrow, and the fight's happening. There's again won't spoil it, but somebody else, one of Moon Knight's close friends, she powers up. There's a huge fight, but it finds that Arthur Harrow basically controls all the cards, and he's been put in a situation where in creative writing terms, it's called the bad guy closes in. So the hero is trapped, he's locked, he has no way, he needs to figure a way out of the situation to win.
Yeah.
And that's usually the absolute key moment of almost all storytelling. It's actually down to that one moment. And if you watch a lot of movies like and I use my favorite one, Arnie and the Predator, it's realizing the Predator can't see through the mud. And then it's the final fight. So, okay, I now have a way to beat him. And it's, and that makes everybody cheers, exciting. But in Moon Knight, what they do is when they reach that final point where either Mark or Stephen Grant is meant to take that next level up or figure out how he's going to win. They time skip. And I thought, oh my God, that's the most climactic moment of the show. And you time skip it. And I found that was horrible. I was thinking, oh gosh, what pick? And the thing is, I didn't mind the time skips all throughout the rest of the series. It made sense. It kept you disoriented, but you time skip on the most crucial part of the TV series. I thought that was a huge cop out. I was like, oh gosh, it made me want to almost rage quit and turn the TV off at that point because that's how annoyed I got.
See, this is where, like, if I'm watching it as just someone watching it and enjoying the story and all the rest of it, I 100% agree, and I feel robbed and I miss something. But if I'm watching it as a writer, I'm actually thinking it's kind of a genius move because you're putting the audience through the same thing the protagonist has gone through his whole life. It's almost like you're making them at the crucial point experience this horrible black point where they wake up and think, hang on, no, what did we miss? What did we miss? So it's kind of disorienting for I think it's kind of a genius thing, but at the same time, yeah, they're kind of robbing everyone of the bit that everyone is waiting for. The kind of tables are turned.
Yep.
Hero comes in. Instead, it's like, that must have happened, but we didn't see it. We've just seen the bad guy lying on the floor. He's
and
out for the
we're not going to tell you what happened. That's probably the other thing. We're not going to tell you what happened.
Yeah.
I've got to mention, and I don't know if again, anybody in the chat, please tell me if you've seen this and just add to the comments. We really love interacting with you guys, so please feel free to keep adding comments. There is a TV series, and I'll consider it one of season one of this TV series. I said probably is the perfect season, complete season, beginning, middle, end. It ends perfectly. The rest of the seasons are a bit meh, but season one I would consider almost a perfect season. That's Heroes, and in Heroes, there is in season 3. There are two main characters. Again, this is mainly for people who haven't seen it yet, but there's two main characters. You've got the protagonist, his name is Peter Petrelli, and you've got someone called Sila, who's the antagonist. Throughout the season 3, basically these two characters have very similar powers in which they can actually learn new powers. So, for example, Peter Petrelli can learn how to become like Iceman, can use ice powers. Silo starts learning fire powers, and some guy learns psychic abilities. And so these characters have been, throughout the entire series, been building up their power levels until it becomes the point where they're about to face off. And this was the most exciting part of and this is not as bad as Moon Knight. Moon Knight's only like 5-6 episodes. This one, you're talking about 20-something episodes of absolute build-up for one point. And this is what happens. And this is something I prepared earlier. Let me share that. So this is the moment when Peter Petrelli and Sila are about to face off. If you can't remember, in the next 5 seconds, the door closes and the audience sees nothing else. The door closes and you get the post-fight, what happens after the fight. And we're just going, we've invested as the audience hours and hours. And not just that, we've invested the time to see them slowly learn all these new abilities, all these new powers, and they close the door on us. And I was going, that's it. I never watched the reboot. I never saw anything else after that. That's how annoyed I got on just that one particular scene.
It's pretty bad, man. That's pretty. See, I can't even remember it was that non-memorable for me. The series I loved, but yeah, as it went on, I lost interest as the writing kind of went a bit funny, and the ideas got a bit wacky. But it's this thing. I think Hitchcock does it. Now I'm going to murder his name, so apologies to everyone. M. Night,
M. Night Shyamalan,
M. Night Shyamalan, yeah. He does it. All these great directors do it. They sometimes do this thing where the action is taking place and you don't see it, but you hear it and you see like a little bit of an angle of, it's the classic Psycho, the blood coming down the thing, but you don't see it happening. That I wouldn't mind because you're still experiencing it, but it's almost like how it's not quite. But this is just kind of like, we don't know how to do this that's going to be satisfactory for everyone. So we're just going to close the door and then, it's all done now. It's happened. It's almost like it was just too difficult. So they just went with, let's just not show them,
I know. And there is a time where if it's hidden, and don't get me wrong, really good horror movies, if you hide certain things, it's actually much better than if it's not hidden. I'll just bring up one comment. That's correct. Save the cheerleader, save the world. So season one, I still say was the absolute perfect season. And I'm going to delve into a bit of Heroes lore. It had 6-7 characters in season one. All have different ideas, and they gave an arc to all of them, and it ended absolutely perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. The guy you think who's going to sacrifice himself to save the world, he didn't. It was actually Nathan Petrelli who died. You know what I mean? It was the way they did it was absolutely perfect.
Do you think though that's part of the problem is the way that they write in or used to write in Hollywood? I presume they do the same now as well. They've written a season, and they've done that really thoroughly, and then they push the season out, see how it goes, and then if it's successful, then they start writing the second and third. So they don't have a complete picture. But the first season they did, maybe.
Yeah. So Heroes actually as a because I was seriously invested in Heroes. It was probably one of my favorite shows. What happened was the original writers for Heroes wanted every season to have all brand new characters.
Oh,
Because the problem that you have with, say, a Peter Petrelli type character, where if you're learning powers, you reach a stage where it becomes boring because he's too powerful. He's got too many abilities and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But what happened was they actually wanted it every season to be almost a reset or go to a different area, because the whole point of Heroes, and yes, they had an Indian geneticist. He was such an awesome character, and they butchered him. He had such a great arc, and the later seasons they made him horrible. They really betrayed the character. But the one thing I did like about that they want to do was basically to keep moving the to a different city, to a different area, to a different set of heroes, to a different bunch of people learning abilities. I thought that was really, really, I thought that was
cool.
great.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah.
The problem is the studio nixed that, because
I was going to say, I don't know a studio that would agree to that, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, the studio absolutely nixed that, because the studio said, look, all these people are now invested in these characters, invested in these actors, and now you're telling me you're going to sack all of them and rehire a whole brand new thing? No, continue it. We want. And they also made the characters sign multi-season contracts after that.
Right.
So that was, again, that wasn't even the writers. That was the studio saying, oh, gosh, let's give them a multi-season deal. And so you're forced to use them. And I think that was actually really much the detriment of the writing, because it would have been nicer to have different heroes in different areas, maybe cameos from previous seasons, or like linking all together. And then maybe for the final season of the episode, the final season, everything, bring them all in. And then I think that would have been fantastic. But no, they went with weird and wonderful plot lines.
If you're, I suppose from a marketing perspective, it might be easier to sell, 10 characters that have been around for a longer time versus 30 or 40. I don't know, maybe it's then again, Disney does a great job of marketing a gazillion characters, so maybe not.
Exactly. Oh, look, I understand it. I there's probably different reasons for it, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Do you read much into comic books? Like, for example, I do have to give a really sad shout out. I just found this out the other day. Tim Sale passed away, if you know who that is.
I do not, but I'm woefully inadequate in my education of traditional comics and comics in general. I will just put that out there.
That's fine. He has a very, very distinctive style, so I'm happy to share that one with you. Just give me a sec.
Cool.
Let me share the screen. He actually came to Australia, and one of the reasons I want to mention Tim Sale, Tim Sale was actually one of the visual directors in Heroes. So you know how they had the
Okay.
symbol of the ellipse and stuff. All that was designed by him. There's a comic book within the series that was
Yeah.
he did
Yeah.
all that.
Oh,
So
cool.
the reason I'm only bringing it up is, look, I'm actually really sad that he's passed away, and condolences to his family. And let me just share his probably the this one. You've probably seen his artwork before, the Long Halloween.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it's very distinctive, and it was his take on Batman. That it's
Yeah.
again, it's a particular art style, and I think it was. Let me try to jump into the art a little bit.
Yeah, we're kind of at that point where a lot of the
Yeah,
great artists from yesteryear are kind of, coming to the end, and it's pretty sad.
that's the one thing just talking about, and you can notice if you see anything by Tim Sale, you 100% be able to pick it out straight away.
Mm.
Um, it's what they're saying a lot about a lot of artists, that the ones you remember are the ones which, how do you say, um, have their own distinctive style.
Mm.
Like for example, you look at, say, oh, a Vincent Van Gogh, and like he
Mm.
did Starry Starry Night, and a lot of those really abstract paintings and stuff like that. But Vincent Van Gogh also can do almost perfect portraiture. Like there is some
Mm.
Vincent Van Gogh's early works when he's learning, and it's the usual: know the rules
Yeah.
before you can break the rules. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so when you see, and same with Da Vinci and stuff like that. The first things he learned before he started manipulating and started going getting his own distinctive style was to develop to basically learn all the rules, anatomy and all the rest of it.
Mm.
Um, Even something like Picasso,
Yeah.
Picasso has a notebook of basically almost photo reference drawings, which are, you can take a look at it from distance and go, that's a photo. Oh, no, no, wait, it's a Picasso sketch.
Yeah.
And it's only when they started delving into their own style. So the one thing you notice about, say, comic book artists, and I hate to use this term, I really do, but there's a lot of, even for the big two, the Marvel and DC characters, which the style, you can't pick it. It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
they're
They're very
really, really
similar.
good, but you can't pick that artist because it's just the same. It's exactly the same with everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's perfectly positioned anatomy. It looks great, but there's nothing that stands out from it. Now you've got the artists like Humberto Ramos, the Tim Sales, the Todd McFarlane's of the world, the Jim Lees of the world, where you just go, oh gosh, you take one look and that's Jim Lee.
Mm.
And so you've got a lot of these, and I think Tim Sale's passing is really sad because he was one of those artists that you like his work or you hate his work. That's up to you, but you will know his work. You can take one look
Mm.
at it and go, oh wow,
Yeah.
that's
It's
his.
unique. It's his. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's a lot of artists exactly the same as that. You can take one look at it. But if you notice, a lot of the current crop of Marvel and DC artists, they're great, but you don't pick them from, oh my God, that's a really particular style that goes, oh wow, I've never seen someone draw Spider-Man with his leg behind his head, and like
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
McFarlane draws it.
Yeah.
Let's just bring up. Oh, definitely,
Yeah. Yeah.
like 100%. Basically, all these artists that you think, oh my God, they're so far out, or they're so fantastic, it's so different. They all started out learning the rules. And like you said, if you know the rules, you can start to break it because you understand why you're breaking it for certain reasons. Um, as a writer, you're probably the same thing. You got to understand how the tropes work, because if you
Mm.
break it, have a reason behind why you break certain tropes. If you just break it for the sake of breaking it and you have no reasoning behind it, it actually reflects on bad storytelling.
Mm.
And not
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
I'm a
For
great
sure.
storyteller, but it's yeah, know how something works and then rip it apart.
And there's even, it's the same with philosophy and that sort of stuff. You've got to get kind of inside the language before you start ripping it apart and trying to do new things with it. It's the same as writing, and even horrible things like grammar and spelling and all that sort of stuff. I hate it because I'm always getting it wrong, but you have to know it and you have to learn it and learn how to manipulate it. So then when you do break the rules, you know what you're doing and how you're doing it, and you're not just kind of fumbling through. Still working on the grammar and the spelling, I must say.
I have one person I trust now totally, and she helps me with my grammar and spelling because I make mistakes all the time. And it's not like
I have 2 or 3 editors I have to have for everything because I'm that bad. That's how terrible it is. Anyway.
But yeah, look like for example, I do a lot. I do lettering as my side my side gig. So I do lettering for a lot of different. And for example, I always say, look, you've got like a double dash, for example, it means someone's interrupted. If you ever seen lettering, so if you go something double dash, it means they've been interrupted. I had people say, "Oh, but just put 3 dots in." I'm going, "Yeah, but you can put 3 dots in, but that means they're trailing off the speech. Double dash means they're interrupted. Oh, they're being interrupted, but put 3 dots." And you're going, "Oh, come on!"
But there's a language that people that read comics get, and you're stepping outside of that language, so it's going to confuse. Yeah.
Now, if you wanted it such that he's trailing off and the guy jumps in, like completing someone said, like for example, if we're talking, what's his name? It's and then you jump in with, it's Ethan Hawke or it's whatever. Then that makes sense. But if it's a direct go do stop, you need the double dash. If the other guy's yelling stop on top of you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So again, know the rules, understand the rules, and then break it. Feel free. That's why it's nice to be creative, because you want to break the rules, but know the rules before you break the rules. And I have to say the Marvel writers are probably a million times better than me. But going back to the original point, which we rambled on a little bit too much. You should not cheat the audience of that big climax, that big exciting moment, the one where the hero steps up. That's really bad to cheat the audience out of it and just jump in ahead and go, you know what, it's happened. And as the audience, I'm thinking, okay, I understand in Moon Knight that there is a reasoning why he broke the rule. It actually logically in the story wise makes sense. Why that was broken. But I'm just going, oh, you shouldn't have. You absolutely shouldn't have. Like you said, you could have done it a different way. You could have done it so that the body was taken over. Or you could have done it so that it's a POV perspective. Or you could have done it.
Yeah. That would have worked great, actually. POV would have been perfect for it, because you get right up close. You see it happen. But yeah, it was an odd choice.
But to have it skip, you're just going, it's a cheat, and the audience. Oh, maybe it's just me, but I felt really cheated after investing the time for it. Going, you've been waiting for this big fight, and you just go, nah.
Yeah.
Oh, and thanks for jumping in, Shane. How are you?
Hey, I've never seen all that brown hair, and I've never seen that particular image. I'm used to just the white. The snowy white.
Oh, Shane always looks good, and I like him in his beard.
He does. He's like a happy Santa Claus.
I've said this, that this is as badass as my beard grows. It doesn't get worse.
It is what it is,
long.
Man.
It does grow long, and
just go long.
Really
okay,
bad.
Yeah,
it looks Anyway, look. Any last thoughts on Moon Knight? Because I want to talk about your work next. So you want to close off on Moon Knight?
Moonlight, I loved. I thought it was so. I did. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And like I say, I'm usually I care more about the start than the finish. But I just there was so much there, and even the second time watching again, I'm picking up so much more. So I loved it. I'm interested to see what they do next, and it's very hard to do as good a second season, so we'll see. But I thoroughly loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Okay. So, firstly, look, congratulations. And one of the things that I really noticed, and please, if I get the name wrong, please correct me. It's Marcosia, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
Marcosia
Mycosia.
Marcosia. Um,
Mycosia, yeah.
because I've actually never heard it pronounced. I've only, one of those things that you're a reader because you butcher everybody's name because you hear the name. Because sometimes when you read, you don't actually hear how the name sounds in your head. You recognize
All
that
the
character.
time. All the time. And honestly, I'm saying that I'm pretty sure that's correct, but I don't think in talking with them I've ever said the name of the publishing company. So I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Mycosia. That's what I'm calling it when I talk to them anyway. So that's what it is. There
Because
you
you
go.
could pronounce it differently. You could have the emphasis on the mark. So it can be
Yep.
Mark Orsia or Marco. It depends where you
Yep.
break the syllables up. So,
Yep.
gosh. Anyway, sorry. Quick aside. Look, you've got how many works are coming out? Because I've seen one of the reasons I wanted to chat with you is I saw from their Facebook page basically everything was Quaid, 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 Quaid all the way down. So how much work? What's coming out? What's exciting for you?
A lot is coming out. So I've been writing for a long while, but due to a previous contractual situation and a few other things, I hadn't released a lot until the last year. So there's been a lot backed up. I signed a bunch of things with Mycosia, and they're starting to come out now. So the two that we're going to look at were. They've been around for 3 or 4 years, and some of the components have been complete for that long, but they're just starting to come out now. So this year, I think it is somewhere in the vicinity of 20 comics
Wow,
and 3 or 4 novels. And maybe a graphic novel, but I'm not sure if that'll be done by then. So it's a lot this year, but some of it was carrying on from previous stuff that was just coming through. So yeah, big
that's
year this year.
awesome. Look, talk to me. Look, and I'm actually going in blind for some of these things because
Mm-hmm.
I've just received some PDFs. I'm really, really excited to read it, but I
Some
don't
of
know.
these ones.
Yeah, but tell me about the Blood Below first because we've got those first two up. So what's it about? And
The Blood Below. This is probably my favorite comic that I've done so far. So this particular story is a crime investigation story with a foul-mouthed, crass detective investigating a murder. There are 2 murders at the same time. One is a woman that seems undisturbed, but she's sort of dead. The other one is in a dumpster, and his body has just been torn to ribbons. So there's a complete disconnection between what's going on. And essentially, the only clue that they've got is a case. It's in the near future, and they develop a lens that you can put on your eye, kind of like contact lenses, but it gives you perfect 20/20 vision for 30 or 40 years. So they're really highly prized, worth a bit of money. So the detective, after having a few too many drinks, thinks, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put on the lenses of the dead guy and see if I can see through his eyes or something like that. In essence, he's got nothing, so he's just grasping at straws. He goes to put on the lens. He's actually in the men's toilet as he's trying to do it in the police precinct. A guy comes out and pats him on the back, doesn't know what he's doing, and he actually jams he's got a butter knife with the lens in there, jams in his eye. Long story short, that eye enables him to start to see weird and wacky and wonderful stuff in kind of another world, like spiritual stuff, if you like, or another dimension or something like that. So he starts to see stuff through one eye, but the other eye, he's only got one lens because one gets wrecked. So so as it goes on, the story gets very weird very quickly. It's kind of a steampunk horror kind of story. It's part of a much larger world around this kind of dream city called Rust. There are a bunch of novels. There are other comics that are going to be coming out, but this is kind of the entry point into that world of weirdness. And the artwork is by my friend Willie Roberts. Amazing artwork, really nice.
are these his
Yeah,
covers as well? Did he do the covers for these two?
some of the actually these are his covers. Yeah. So
Yep.
they're his
I'll scroll back up.
covers.
So this is
Yeah.
his cover as well. Yep.
That's his cover. Yeah. And the interiors are really great. The interesting thing is, I mean, we started this 5 years ago, so he's also gotten better. It's amazing, watching an artist get better and better and better and better. But yeah, they're really, really nice and quite chunky stories. And so I think there's four issues out now. There's another 2 to complete the series, and then I'll be putting them into a combined graphic novel version down the track as well. So hopefully next year that one will be all sewn up, and we'll have the print versions available and all that stuff.
So I'm assuming after the 4-issue series, it ends, or is there?
Well, this is the thing, because most of my stories come from novels. So this actually is a novel that's going to get released later on this year, which tells this whole story arc. But that's one novel, and then at the end of the novel, it's pretty clear. Oh well, what would be the next thing that would happen? So what I might do is write another novel and then do another comic series. But it's all time and effort and depending on how well received it is. But yeah, at this stage, it'll just be that series, and then that's it for now. He does the main character does appear in other novels and stories in the same universe, though, so he does pop up every now and then as well. But we'll see.
Cool. I'm going to pop up a comment, and I just want you to answer how correct this comment is in terms of your writing. And
it's correct. Shane knows very well. I'm not a patient writer. I don't have time for sort of long, slow builds. So within the first few pages, I want someone to be grabbed, because that's my attention span. But also I like things going weird very quick. I like the reader to know if they pick up something that I've written, it's not going to be normal. It's not going to have the normal twists and turns. It's going to be weird. It's going to be unexpected. Weird quick is the way they go. So I'll give you a little hint with this one. Now, this is a little bit later on, and I'm giving a bit away, but probably not too much. One of the scenes has the main character, the detective, pulling a Ziploc bag out of his pocket with a severed big toe in it, that he gives to a certain character as payment for something. And sort of an oracle sort of character. So he takes to carrying around a big toe in his pocket, as you do, just in case a troll or something pops up that needs payment. I mean, it's because you don't see that. You don't see people walk around with severed big toes as a currency. So why not? I say.
Oh, definitely. So the other one, which to be fair, this one I've actually got the PDF sitting somewhere. I just need to have time to read it. And we'll scroll down a bit more. Shadow's Daughter. Yes. So what's it up to? How many issues have you got done? Tell me about it. I'm really interested in this. And for people who haven't seen this before, please start with the whole log line, and we definitely want to get people excited about it.
Cool. Well, it's pretty easy. It's essentially about a young woman who is a bounty hunter, and she has the ability to bend shadow and use shadow as a physical force or a weapon or that sort of stuff. Again, this came from a novel as well, which will be coming out definitely this year. The whole premise of the world is it's kind of like our world, but a parallel version where a demon moon sort of rises at a particular point in time. And while that rises, there are earthquakes and the whole world is thrown, into chaos. And a certain portion of the population, about 2% of the population, start to exhibit preternatural abilities. So you get your sort of vampires and your Vorgon and your what are called mancers, that are sort of sorcerer sort of people. So certain section of the population become these preternatural sort of beings, and this main character Summer is one of these. They call them remade people, but her whole thing is she works for the bureau and brings in parole violators and these remade people that are doing nasty things and all that sort of stuff. That's her gig, and it's essentially she does it for money. It's how she makes a living. The whole story, though, is about she has this incredibly powerful gift. What happens when that gift is taken away? How does she cope? What's the next thing that happens? And there are two issues that are the main story of that whole sort of seven. Then there are 7 spin-off issues that are from her early career as a bounty hunter. So they're sort of standalone issues where she, fights different weirdos and, does all that sort of stuff. Oh, it's very exciting. It's very cool. And some of the characters are amazing. There's a character named Minky that everyone tends to fall in love with. Yeah, it's very, very cool because you get to explore a world like our own, but not the same as our own. And she's just, all of my main characters are smart mouths. I really love the idea of a smart mouth character that even if they're in mortal danger, they're going to say something stupid because that's in their nature and that's what they're going to do. It's kind of what I would want to do, but probably never would in that situation. Yeah, absolutely.
Are you projecting? Yeah. Is it like a self-insert here that you're projecting that if we're going to die, I'm going to say something smart ass to you?
If I'm in a situation where I get pulled up by the cops or anything like that, I'm as meek as a mouse and I won't say anything. But inside, I wish I was like her and I could just say, no, I'm just going to say what I'm going to say. And, because she's just incredibly powerful. I mean, to give you an idea of how powerful she is, there's only ever been one other Shadowmancer in history that people know of. He was a serial killer. So he had a very, very bad reputation. So there's automatically this fear anytime they see her come around and they see her bending shadow that everyone sort of freaks out because they remember this ghastly character from history. But yeah, she's kind of one of a kind. Although is she? Because I realized I made a silly error right at the beginning of this whole thing. If you notice, the title has an apostrophe in shadows. Yes. Denoting the possessive. So Shadow's daughter, anyone that looks at that thinks, well, okay, well, who's Shadow then? Shadow must be a being, a character, a person. So it's like, I've already given the thing away, but you don't find that out until way, 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 way later. But yes, there is more of a story there about her and her origin. So part of it is the discovery of her origin story as she loses her power, struggles through that. And yeah, it's also pretty badass, if I can say that. It's pretty cool.
Look, just to let everybody know, I've shared the Marcosia link through the chat, so you guys can go in. They are coming out through Marcosia. The other thing would be is Morgan also covers the Kickstarter. I believe Shadow's Daughter, the latest one, was probably your most successful campaign. Are you gonna do a Shadow's Daughter the next part? Are you gonna bring the Kickstarter first? What's your plan for that?
Yeah, so the next one, so in a couple of months, I've got Enmity, which is another project coming out. So that will be on Kickstarter. And then the next one will be another Shadow's Daughter campaign where all of the existing stuff that was done will be on offer again. And then a whole new, essentially trying to close out the first main story arc with a bunch of new spin-offs and everything as well. And I'm looking at potentially putting them both in omnibus versions. So instead of many, many little comics, it'll be sort of 2 big books, bringing it all together. So that's the plan anyway. I'm not sure when that'll probably be early next year, I'd say. But yeah, definitely on the cards is another one. There's also, I haven't even spoken about this yet, but there's even a journal that's coming out with some artwork, but it's kind of a black and white journal that people can write in, and you know how the kids like a journal and all that sort of stuff. There's one of those coming out. I might even do a coloring book with some of the artwork as well. I'm not sure, but yeah, definitely coming with a bigger, better kind of offer down the track.
Fantastic. Look, I'm going to, the last few minutes, I want to scroll down because I want you to start talking about some of the artists because guys, this is going to be a long scroll. Morgan, at any point, tell me to stop because it's what Morgan has done, which I thought was really cool, is giving me a whole stack of covers to take a look at. So I would love to hear, as we're going through, to say stop and talk about which ones you liked, which artists you worked with, and what part of these covers you liked, because I have to say, they are all really, really cool. And like, I'll start from the beginning. I like this one. So who did this one? Do you know?
So this one and the next one are the same artist. So it's Adam Kmielek, a Polish artist, did both of those. I love his work. I've worked with him for a while now on a few different things. And anytime I'm doing anything, I'll usually get him to do a cover just because I just really like his style.
Awesome.
This
One's
one is
somebody
done
else.
by an Aussie. So this is Daniel Reed did this incredibly
Uh,
detailed
mycelium.
mycelium complex. Yeah.
That's it.
Complex?
Yep.
Yeah, complex.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so he did this for me. It just amazing, and I love that the character at the top is actually a character. Oh, I haven't even mentioned him. He's a character called Telos, who is a uh, I don't know how to describe him. Anyway, he's got 4 arms and he's got 2 hearts, and one of them. Anyway, I won't go into it. But he's an inkmancer. He does tattoos and all that sort of stuff. So he's
Yep.
kind of a tattoo artist. But yeah, he's also a villain, and I loved what Daniel did with that. It was just
Oh, look,
amazing.
it's really nice.
So cool. And this is another artist that I work with quite a bit, Moses May. His style is very unique, very, very cool. This was more of a kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of a throwback to the, vampires and werewolves and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
I love the expression in her face in this one. That's just like, give it your worst, bro. You kind of know where the real power is, even though he's taller and menacing and everything.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was that one.
This one's very different. Actually, I really like this one though. So who did this one?
So this one, Ali is the interior artist, and this was me actually grabbing interior art and putting this together myself because I didn't
Okay.
have a cover, and I thought, you know what, I really liked a few of the pages, and I thought if I could combine them, it would look really nice with that shading. So that was me using Ali's work basically to do that one.
And this is probably the cover that's been most seen, I have to say.
Yeah.
That's the one when you were doing your Kickstarter a while back. This the one I saw the most. So, and I love
Yeah.
this one. So it's very powerful. I like the composition as well.
Yeah, I'm struggling to remember his name because he doesn't use his name. He uses another name. But
That's
yeah,
fine.
he did 3 or 4, and he just did the character, and then I sort of put it together with the backdrop, and I liked I used just a little bit of color and all that sort of stuff. But yeah,
He did these
really
two.
really
These two are
nice.
the same artist, aren't they?
The
Or,
same artist, yeah,
yep.
yeah. And I love the way it turned out and the way that shadow is manipulated and everything. Really, really cool. I just can't remember the guy's name. Sorry.
When you get back to it, we'll do a shout out to him.
We'll do it. Yes. Yeah. So this again was another interior that I took out. So this is I think it's either Ali or it might be Mad's room. Who's one of the other? Oh, this one's Ali. Yeah. So this is another one that I've used the interior to make the exterior just because I like that shot. I thought it was really cool. This one is by the same artist, Willie Roberts, that did the Blood Below covers. So that one I really like as well. And now this one again was an interior, but with. Oh no, that's right. This was the same artist that did the other 2. That's right. Yeah. Whose name I can't remember. Yeah. That was really cool. These are guys. Front Studio is the name of the studio. I was doing some other work with them, and I said, "Can you do a cover?" And they did this kind of more stylized cover, which was pretty cool as well. So that was originally that was the standard cover that came through.
Oh, awesome. Oh, look, we've got about 5 more minutes left. So if anybody in the chat wants to drop questions, or make comments to Morgan, feel free to drop it in. I'm happy to bring them up before we wrap up. But yeah, again, this is your chance to ask any questions or anything. Where do you see Shadow's Daughters going? I'm assuming by the way you talk about the lore and all the stuff in it, that you have a definitive end, or you do see, she loses her powers at a certain point. There is that whole journey where I'm assuming she'll get it back at a certain point, and the story will come to some sort of conclusion. Is that how you've planned it? Do you know how do you know how you planned the ending already, or is that still in the works?
Yeah, I know the main story arc. I know how it ends, and I know that essentially she gets her power back, but it is not the same, and she's not the same. So it's more of a she changes rather than I'm back to the way things were. And it's also like as that changes, her outlook on life changes. Because she essentially saves the world, sort of thing. So She can no longer just be the I'm just a bounty hunter, man. I'm just in it for the money. I don't care. You can't pretend you don't care because you sort of gave everything to protect the people you love. So she's sort of developed in that way as well. And that's where it all ends. But as I said, that's just the ending of the first novel. What I've got to decide is, do I write another novel? When do I write a novel? And then does that come through to the comics? I'm seriously thinking about potentially trying to put an animated mini series or something off the back of this, or a small movie or something like that, because I think it's kind of shouting out for it. But who knows? Yeah, so I'm not sure. So I know where the ending currently is, but whether or not it goes on, I suppose depends how popular it is as well. And if people are wanting more, I'd love to write more because it's pretty cool story.
How has the feedback been from Marcosia? I'm assuming they've been really loving it, or what feedback have you got so far?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they love it, and they also like, because I produce so many of them. So it's, from a business perspective, it's good to have a lot of product to put out there. But yeah, the decision was very quick on their behalf to say, yes, we would like this, please, which was nice. Because oftentimes if you submit to, different publishers, they're not interested, or it's like, it's just not quite what we thought, or not now, or, so they originally went with the novels, and then I showed them the comics, and but now it just depends how popular it is. Of everything I've written, it's so far seeming to be the most popular. It seems to resonate with people, which is really cool. But we'll see. We'll see how well it goes. Yeah.
So Shane needs to. So look, just do it, and I want it tomorrow.
Yeah.
There is a question. There is a question, and I love this question because it shows that Sazigal has been paying attention right from the beginning. So from our initial comments.
So yes, they do. And with the Kickstarter that I ran, there was actually an album. And the way that I do it is, it's this sort of music I picture the main character listening to if she was just walking along. So I actually have a theme song for pretty much everything I do, but definitely for this, and an album. And you can actually, if you go to morganquaid.com, on the side there, you can see there's a link to Bandcamp where you can listen to the album. So yes, absolutely. And partly because I do music a lot and love music, so of course I'm gonna do something like that. But also it's just great fun trying to imagine what the character would listen to.
I'm sharing the link to your site as well, so if people want to visit, they can visit you on the site. So it's all in the comments.
Cool.
Look, there's been one question that's actually been going around social media a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you that same question. It's actually from the newest Stranger Things. And have you seen it, or
not yet? I've heard a lot about it, but I will.
I won't spoil it, but they basically I won't spoil too much. But when a demon attacks, music can sort of stop the attack a little bit, but it has to be your favorite song. So the question that's going through social media a lot is, what song will save you from this demon?
Oh, this is going to be really bad, really bad. So I'm kind of a professional musician, and I kind of write music for film and TV on the side and other stuff. And I've been doing it for years and all that sort of stuff. But my musical education is terrible anyway.
Yep.
So forgive me. It would be something like Virtual Insanity by Jamiroquai, something like that. It would be a disco-y kind of song. Yeah, I don't know, because whatever is going on, however complex I want to pretend that I am, if I hear that, it just does it to me. It just works. So yeah, Jamiroquai.
Look, to be fair, and we'll go talking a little bit of music. So like my parents' generation they went through the Elvises, they went through the Beatles. So that's their generation of music. The ones that we probably went through were probably the Mariah Careys of the world, the Michael Jacksons of the world, as the big names of music goes through. So there's not much. You like what you like. You don't have to.
The heart wants what the heart wants,
Exactly. Look, there's no more questions, but I do want to mention two things before we leave. The first thing I do want to mention is Sean is launching 13th Labor towards the end of July, end of June. So I'm going to bring up his campaign. So share screen. So if you haven't already, hit that notify button and um, yeah, jump on when it launches. So um, 13th Labor is a take on Hercules. So you know how Hercules in the mythology had the 12 labors of Hercules. So this
Mm.
is now the 13th one, the one additional one. Um, the other
Sweet.
thing, so it's I thought it was a really cool take. So the other one I want to show is, and this one is launching next Sunday. So this one is mine. So let me bring that one up. And this is the one that is a little bit dear to my heart. So I'm a
Mhm.
little bit biased on this one because it's Wordsmith. So it's actually the fourth one.
Oh,
Again,
nice.
what I always do is I also make it sure that you can read each volume by itself. You know, there is an overarching story, but you don't actually need to get through the entire. You know, there is a central story. I like to think of a TV series that you have uh, your overarching storyline that goes through the season, and you still have your monster of the week that can happen. But the one thing I don't know if you heard the pitch for Wordsmith, but basically it's a steampunk world where people can actually there's certain people who can actually make words. But the whole concept about it is that a word could mean one thing to you, but mean something very different to somebody else. For example, if I use the word home as an example, um, home for you could be a place, it could be a
Mm.
person, it could be a feeling. Home could be, for example, like if you remember your favorite meal, a home cooked meal, and you eat that reminds you of home. So the problem is when this particular wordsmith makes words for people, um, what she intends the word to do never ends up the way she wants it to. So it's a whole play on different words, and um, for example, and this is actually the second volume. For example, somebody wants the word brave, but the problem is that they were saying that she was arguing the point that being brave doesn't exist. Because if you're strong and you just do stuff, you're not being brave because there's nothing
Mm.
to overcome. What the word really is, there's brave isn't a real word. It's fear. That's the real word. And bravery is acting in spite of fear. Now, if you're not afraid, you can't be brave because if you're not afraid, there's nothing for you to overcome. And so when she makes the word fear instead of the word brave, oh gosh, it opens up a whole can of worms for her. So it's a lot of that. I don't know. It's dear to my heart. So I
Mhm.
love playing with the semantics of words and what they really mean. So I'm really excited for it. It's coming next Sunday. So I hope you can come and take a look at it when it launches as well.
Nice.
Okay. Well, that's about it. But I thank you for showing the my projects before we end. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we close off?
No, no, but just yeah, if anyone would like to sizzle. Love, love, love. Yeah, if anyone wants to, anyone reads novels and or comics or anything that wants to know about any of my stuff, just go to morganquaid.com. Feel free to hound me on social media and all that sort of stuff. Happy to chat with people. And I also have novels for advanced reviewer copies. So if you like to read novels and review them and all that sort of stuff, you can get free copies of books and stuff.
But you have to write the review.
You have to write the review. Although, I mean, I don't. I mean, what am I going to do if you don't? You know, I don't really check up on that sort of stuff. But yeah, it would be great if you could. But you know, if you're interested, hound me and let me know, and I'm happy to chat to you for sure. And thank
So
you very much
definitely.
for having me on as well.
Oh, definitely. Sparky's one of the characters of Wordsmith. So yay! Thanks, Grace. Um, but before we leave, so just as a gentle reminder, please do check out morganquaid.com. Take a look through. You see, there's music in there. There's novels. There's comics. The guy does everything. The- if you told me you act as well, you model on the side, oh gosh,
I do
well,
not.
I
I
can't
do not
compete.
do, and I do not sing. No singing. No singing. Yeah.
Oh, look, thank you so much for your time. And we'll be back again next week, 10 o'clock, to bring you more. So thank you all so much. And we can now put the outro on.